Well, hello there, Rip City. Welcome into Blazers Courtside. Chris Burkhart here with you, having some fun. I told everyone I had extra adapters today, and I'll tell you why. And I think I grabbed the only one that's broke because there we go. Now I can hear myself. The beauty of live radio. We're having fun today. A couple special guests here in studio with me, my friends Rose and Tara of the What podcast, which first off, before I get to that, I got to say I'm extremely disappointed in one of you having you as my guest today. Because if your nickname is Team Mom and you don't come in bringing Capri Suns and apple slices, like I kind of skipped lunch. I was anticipating some snacks. That's a fail.
You're looking at me, and that just falls right on me, Chris. I thought, it's a few years since I did that. I did that several years ago on Outsiders, and I thought everybody had grown up and started feeding themselves. But you know what? I will just adjust. And next time,
when you showed up on Outsiders, I was grown up then too, and every grown up expects snacks now and then. Okay, it's a beautiful thing.
Noted.
Now I also got to note too that they are the hosts of the What podcast, the We Have a Take podcast, which is objectively an awesome name for a podcast because it reminds me of Friends, right? Like the episodes, right? Like the one where Ross gets married, right? Like the one where Joey does whatever it is, and that was which is great because that was the talking point, right? And that's a smart way to remember an episode. Like, have you ever seen that episode of And that's what the What is like. We have a take about Denny Avdia. It's a beautifully named podcast. So kudos there. Before we dive into Blazers and all the other stuff, I want to know from you two how that came to be and what exactly led to the What podcast, where people can find it, and what makes it tick.
Well, I will start. Thank you. I'm so excited to hear that somebody understands the name because I spend a lot of time naming things and then I'm not sure anybody gets what I'm putting down. But I it's called the What podcast, stands for We Have a Take. And I started podcasting back when I was with Blazers Edge. And Danny and I had a podcast together for 4 years where I learned a million things about basketball and about the Blazers. But when COVID happened, I was ready to take off and do something else and be on my own. So that's when We Have a Take came about. Not because I'd never been allowed to have takes before, but because We Have a Take spelled out W.H.A.T. And I really liked, and so that I could name episodes like What About Denny Avdia or What Is Happening, which is something that we do a lot these days. What is going on? That's a typical one that we might use in the last couple of years. So I did that. I was doing that with Cassidy for a while. I've had a lot of other amazing guests from all around the NBA. And then a couple of years ago, Rose joined, and she was our superstar fill-in. And then Cassidy couldn't do anymore, and there was absolutely no doubt that it was Rose that needed to come on and join me. And I have to say, this is the first time Rose and I have ever done this in person. We usually do it over Zoom, so it's really fun to be standing right next to you, Rose.
I know. It feels weird to be standing next to you and looking you in the real face, not just the camera face.
It's hey, to be fair, the Trailcasters podcast, which I don't know if it even exists anymore. I'll have to ask my friend Keith because he's probably listening and he loves when I mess with him. But it's when every time I see him at a Blazer game, it feels weird. Same thing. It's like you Zoom all the time, you Skype, and it's also funny too because we have the Discord that you two are in, and we have fun, and then you see people on social. Sometimes you feel like you have a relationship with people just because you see them on social all the time. And I remember I ran into Tim Johnson, who the Busted Bucket podcast guy who does stuff with Trailcasters too. And I just said, "Hey Tim, how you doing?" Sat there and we shot the breeze for a little bit, and then we left. And then I texted him a little bit later. I was like, "I'm so sorry because I've talked to you so many times on social. I didn't realize that was the first time I'd met you face to face." So it just happens. But I think it's a bigger statement to the community here in Rip City and how everyone is. And but yeah, We Have a Take. It's a beautiful thing. So then I got to get right to it. And we're going to get to some the We Have a Take awards. I don't know if there's an official name. You'll correct me later. We're going to get to that. That's another thing of beauty. But I need to get your take on the Trailblazers right now with the trade deadline coming close. Scoot Henderson playing good games and then for some reason getting relegated back to the bench and not playing in the fourth quarters, but being good enough to play in the fourth quarter against Oklahoma City still confuses me. So what's your take on the Blazers right now as we sit just past the halfway point with the trade deadline looming?
Gosh, there's so many things. I was just thinking about this earlier today. I thought I would know, like, who I thought was imminently going to be traded at this point in the year this season. But, like, I don't actually know. I think it's proving to be harder to make trades now. And there are lots of rules that I do not care about learning about that prevent people from trading things the way they used to trade. And so now I'm just saying, like, I don't know if we're going to make any trades. I don't know if we're going to make a lot of them, 0 of them. I know that whatever happens, though, people will be happy and people will be sad.
Someone will be happy. Someone will be sad. Oh, by the way, on the YouTube stream, which anyone watching, if they want to join in on the conversation and ask these two a question, go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, get in the comments there. You can hit us up on social as well. But someone chimed in, it was Kobe, talking to you two, says, y'all did a very good deep dive on Denny's backstory a bit ago. It was more info than I knew about him, and I thought I knew a lot. So well done. People are listening and giving you the shout out. See, it's all working.
Thank you. I spent a lot of time reading about Denny Avdia, and this is something we try to do on our podcast each season, is to cover each of the new Blazers kind of in depth, not just about who they are as players, but who they are as people and how they came up into the NBA. And I'll say this year was a lot easier than in some of the more recent years because there aren't as many new players this season as there were last year and the season before. And so we could really focus more on learning deeply about some of the guys that we have new this season. Whereas, like, I don't know, last year we did how many guys?
Oh, well, we still have the trade deadline to get through, and we still have the 10-day contract run.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not over yet. There's been years where we have had to do like 11 different bios after the trade deadline.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But, it kind of, when you were asking about the podcast, when I describe the podcast to people, I say that we're like a boutique because we're small and we're for the people that we're for, and not everybody might get us or want what we're selling, but the people who do enjoy it really enjoy it. And one of the things that we do like to do is these deep dives in the players, or sometimes just like kind of like general concepts like that we're trying to learn about, or historical things that have happened in the NBA. And especially this year when, as Rose was saying, it's so unclear what's actually happening with the team. We're like, well, I guess it's time for us to learn some new stuff about other things.
Well, it is great because I think every podcast does, and not in a bad way, because I do it too. It's what I do here on the show. It's so easy to talk about what happened last night and break down a box score and then talk about what you need to do in the trade deadline and all that stuff. But the deep dive like that on Denny, like, it's a smart thing for you two to do. I mean, that was kind of the lifeblood of like old school newspapers and journalism, right? It was just those deep dive articles. And like Jason Quick still does a wonderful job with that for The Athletic as he's trying to expand and do more national stuff with them. There's those deep dives that take a lot of time and effort into it. So kudos to you, because that takes some time to go in there and do that thing on Denny. And of course the fans obviously appreciated it. So good job. And I love, like, even the awards we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Like, that's just fun. So the thing is, fandom doesn't always have to be so serious, man, right? Just relax a little bit and have fun with it. And you know what? And that's how you can make a year where you're only winning like 20 games and everyone's worried about tank or not tank. You have your fun within your fandom doing those small things.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we try to focus on are the things that we can actually control, because, like, we don't know what the Blazers are going to do. We don't know what the coach is going to do. We don't know when somebody's going to be sat down for, not performing, or if somebody's going to start. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict that. So we try to control the things that we can control. So the What Awards are a way for us to, like, find things to follow that are, like, kind of removed from just what's happening on the court. And then another thing that we've been trying to control is, we can control the words that we use. And so we've been trying out rebranding tanking. We find that tanking is what we've been saying is that the Blazers are lottery bound. And we think Lottery Bound kind of like captures the journey that we're on right now, as opposed to just like the final destination of a giant explosion.
Right.
So we're just, we might bring up being lottery bound a few times. We sort of prefer to use that then.
We are on the Development Express bound for Lottery Station.
Choo choo.
Coming through.
See, I like that. That feels way more positive than tank already. Like tank just makes you feel bad. We're tanking. We're going to be the worst team in the league. We're going to have the best draft pick, but you only do that by being bad. Yeah.
Plus there's a lot more fun train gifts out there. We're getting all tired of all of the tank gifts.
The one with the tank sliding in that is used every single time.
Yeah. There's a whole
give me some more Thomas the Tank
of
Engine on
train.
my timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yes. The Polar Express. Like, I'm thinking of train movies. Unstoppable, right? Denzel Washington. There is trains out there. Yeah.
I was so excited when I found a picture of a train with an elephant coming out of it. I was like, that is so perfect. It was right when the elephant in the room was happening, and I was like, here we go.
I love it. I love it. See, this is what you get. It's fun. It's similar. I remember having a talk with Casey Holdall one time when I had him on as a guest on this show, ironically enough, about how, like, as dumb as it sounds, I love when he did like those random articles about like how important lotion is in a locker room, or the players bringing candles on the road with them to get find their balance. Little things like that are just random and fun.
Those are the best. I loved remember when ESPN published the peanut butter and jelly, like oral history of NBA players with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was like, yes, this is what I want to know. I want to know about this. I want to know about Chris Kaman bringing coffee to the team. Like, that stuff helps me like remember that these guys do more than just play basketball for us. Like, and we get to like know more about who they are as people and how they might enjoy themselves outside of basketball. And I know we don't like to think that they do those things, but guess what? They do.
Oh, they do. Oh, they absolutely do. That's why I always sit there and I get in arguments with people who can't stand Russell Westbrook, right? And I get it. He's an NBA villain, totally. But like when you talk to people, and the reason he's so respected around the league is because the man Russell Westbrook is he's a good dude. He's a good dude, cares about his family, cares about all that stuff that all of us humans do. He just plays a basketball villain, and then people hate him for it.
I love a basketball villain. If I'm being totally honest, I think a basketball villain makes it super fun. I like the people who choose basketball like villain status as opposed to the people who accidentally become them because they like are leaning into the bit a little bit, and they're like keeping it entertaining and also keeping it light while they can like maintain some privacy about their like personal lives that probably isn't who they are on the court.
Oh yeah, and you can't have a hero without a villain either, right? I mean, is it a bad shot if Paul George isn't a villain and says it's a bad shot? Nope. You need a villains. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to hand the reins over to these two, and we're going to talk about the What Awards. They hinted at this in a text message to me. I laughed because Tara is buttoned up. She's ready to go. She's got the notes, and I'm like, I apologize in advance. I'm Mr. Improv. Like, I think it irritates my wife, too. She'll be like, what's your plan for today? Like, in the morning, I'm like, I have no idea. I'm going to go where the wind takes me, babe. All right? And that's how we do the show. But I'm going to let them take over because the wind is taking me to the What Awards. What are the What Awards? What does it all mean? We're going to find out when we come back here on Trailblazers Courtside on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. One down.
One down.
One segment down.
Okay, this is how long my notes are. I sound like a complete nerd.
I love it.
I had to write down the What Awards.
Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhart here with you. You can follow me over on social at Chris J. Burkhart. I'm joined today by the co-hosts of the We Have a Take, aka What podcast, my friends Rose and Tara. And you can follow them over on Blue Sky there at TCB Biggs and Rose Harding. .bluesky.social. I'm waiting for Blue Sky to become big enough to just get rid of that .bluesky.social at the end, okay? Please. But you know what? We'll just enjoy it for what it is right now. But yeah, go follow them. Get in on all the happenings there. Also, you can follow the We Have a Take podcast as well, where you can get the deep dives on Denny. And these, I'm going to make them famous if they aren't already, but they will be. The What Awards, which is just another fun, a fun little thing you guys got going on. Tell me what this is all about, and let's do a deep dive.
So we actually have a running joke that the Blazers gather around in the locker room constantly, negotiating and debating who is going to win these awards. This is, I think, the fourth or maybe even the fifth year that we've given out the What Awards. And the What Awards are, again, a way for us to just watch something else.
Okay.
And every year at the beginning of the season, we decide what awards we're going to give. We may add, we may adjust throughout the season, depending on what's going on. We had one this year that we added. It was a late add. And then at the end of the season, we will talk together with, often we'll have a guest on to go through who are going to be our nominees. And then we put it up to all of our listeners and anybody else who wants to vote on it.
Okay.
So the first What Award that we have, some of them make a lot of sense. Some of them require a little more explaining. But the first one is pretty straightforward, and it's the Most Valuable Blazer Award. Last year, the winner was the Rip City remix, I believe.
I think that's right.
As a whole.
Yeah. So, but what we wanted to talk to you, we wanted to get from you, Chris, if you were about halfway through the season, anybody come to mind that you think, is either worthy of it now or might be worthy of being nominated at the end of the season for that Most Valuable Blazer Award.
Well, I think right now at this point in the season, it's a 2-horse race between Denny Avdia and Tumani Kamara. They're my most valuable Blazer, and I think a dark horse in that race, quite frankly, because I can't stop raving about him. Because everyone automatically wants to go to the people who are doing the absolute best and filling the box score, but Chris Murray, that guy has gone from like a DMP to playing 5 minutes, and next thing you know, he's playing 20, and he just does whatever coach wants him to do, and he does it well. And what I love about him is what he lacks in a pure shot and what he lacks in his pure athleticism, he makes up for not making boneheaded mistakes. Like, he's just a smart basketball player, goes out there and does it. And I haven't stopped raving about him all year long, because he'll have a game where he only has 2 points, 2 rebounds, but he plays 20 minutes. And if you're really watching, you're like, he did everything he was supposed to do. I can see why a coach would love him. So, I mean, if we're giving it to the best players, that's one thing. But also, there's some value in a guy who just puts on the hard hat and grabs his lunch pill and goes to work. So I love Chris Murray.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, though, because, I mean, while Most Valuable Blazer does make you think the most valuable on the court, but we really mean all-encompassing to the team. So it can be some of those guys that don't necessarily show up in box scores. And I'll say, I love the idea that Chris just threw out 3 players and 2 of them are left-handed.
Our lefty here, representing for the
That's
lefty.
right.
I like it.
Well, I totally agree with you on Tumani and Denny. Rose and I were at a game together the other night. It was one of the ones that Denny missed. And we were watching it, and we were like, why is Tumani dribbling so much? And we were like, yeah, and then we were wondering, why does DeAndre Ayton look so lost? And then some of the other players they just did not look like they knew what they were doing. And then Denny came back, and all of a sudden everything just sort of clicked into place.
Yeah.
So he's definitely one of those leaders for me that we need to, because it was just without him, it was they looked like they had no idea what they were doing. And, and Tumani, also super important. When Tumani is not there, it's like they're a sieve. But
That's
when
right.
Denny's not there, they don't look like they even know what they're doing.
Right. And I think what makes Denny so fun this year, quite honestly, is I thought he and Tumani were looking really good in the preseason, but you can only take so much from preseason because there's so many variables. And then at the beginning of the season, he's kind of struggling to find his groove. He's a starter, and then all of a sudden he's pulled out, and he was disgruntled with that, but then he swallowed his pride and found a great role as the 6th man for the longest time. and then injuries and different things have put him back in. I think he's just found that spot where he's comfortable, knows his role, and just does it. And he's been everything that Portland wants in that wing player who can grab rebounds, push tempo, run an offense. I love the guy. He's been phenomenal. So
It's hard not to appreciate good wings when it felt like for the entire Dame era, all we were looking for was the right two wings to put on that team. And then we thought we had a championship team. And now we have the two wings and developing everybody else.
yes, it does kind of suck when you got to trade Dame to get certain things. So I'm like, oh, God, Tumani would have been a pretty nice 3 next to like him and CJ for the longest time. But, that's a whole different time. But that's my take on that. Get it? My take? Huh. Ooh,
Love it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What's the next award?
The next award we have is Most Improved Blazer. So this is somebody who we think showed the most improvement throughout the season. And again, on the court, definitely counts. Other ways that you might have seen improvement in a Blazer, that can count too. So what about you? What do you think? Most improved Blazer this season?
Oh, my goodness. See, that's loaded because I've got to lean to Monty because offensively, the game's it's leaps and bounds what it was last year. Like last year, he showed you defense right out the gate. And we're like, whoa, that's phenomenal. But now the offensive game is coming around. And there's so much to it, too, because, again, box score is easy, but he's starting to play with that little bit of flair, man. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I was paying so much attention when the Rockets were in town because Dylan Brooks and Scoot Henderson were starting to go at it. And I love that because I love Scoot kind of showing that little bit of fire. And at one point, he and like Dylan Brooks kind of gives Scoot the chest. And as he turns around to go up the court, Tumani just boom, forearm right in the chest. Refs didn't call it or anything, but Dylan Brooks kind of looked it back and gave him the look. And Tumani gave him the not on my guys. And again, that's part of that maturation because you didn't have that attitude last year. So when you match his already really great athleticism, his defense, and then the attitude, and I think there's a potential there for him to even slowly start developing more of that leadership. And I think that's great. I think the another person for that most improved, again, Chris Murray deserves to be in that realm. And then I think there's a whole bunch of people you could take quite honestly, but man, it's so hard to not look at the team and say who's the most improved and not look at Tamani Kamara. He does so much, man. And then I also think Robert Williams deserves a little bit of credit because one thing I noticed about him is you can tell that he is the one guy on the team that I feel when he speaks, people listen. And I think that he's slowly realized that he has that power with the team because when he's healthy, there's a difference. When he's healthy and he's on the floor, that's when you can really see it. But I love the growth of him becoming that locker room leader as well.
So
Yeah.
interesting that you didn't mention Scoot because he's somebody that people have been really talking about a lot. And, maybe you're just, thinking of other guys who are on your mind.
Yes. There's a lot to go through here.
I would love it if we were at a point in, 2 more months from now where we're like, oh, yeah, we got to add Scoot to that list. And he has really started to show that.
I think he's real close.
I'm guessing that he's going to be on the ballot. And then I'm also living in a world where at the end of the season, we're like, my God, Donovan Clingan came on like nobody's business.
Yeah.
I hope that by the end of and also considering what might be coming, we might be seeing a lot more of Donovan Clingan, maybe. So yeah, I'm considering that like if we have a lot of people that we can put on, I would love it if we were like, we have too many people on this ballot. We have to narrow it down. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be fun.
That's right. I feel like the Development Express has been kind of chugging along, and we're going to start hitting it into high gear soon because it's going to be less about, I don't know, playing veterans 37 minutes and more about developing the young guys and figuring out what needs to happen this summer.
Yeah.
And, some magic can happen sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a bunch of 10-day guys. But sometimes there's magic and you see somebody really take a leap. Like I told Tara, like however many years ago, I was like, oh, yeah, it's great to see Drew Eubanks play well. He's on his second 10-day, but he's not going to be on the team next year. And oh boy, was I wrong.
Hey, 10 days can be fun, right? They
Yeah.
can be fun. So, and if there's anything that I know about Blazer fans, it's like they're a fan base that can latch onto a guy who was only here for 10 days. like
Delano
next thing you
Banton.
know, next thing you know, there's jerseys everywhere, even if he didn't sign another deal. Like he was a 10-day legend and we loved him. But no, I do think to your point that Scoot and Clingan are both right there for me. They're right on the outside because Scoot's just been up and down. but the ups have been outweighing the downs lately,
Mhm.
which is very, very good. And yeah, I think there's a chance for that. All
Yeah.
right. What's next?
Well, that's kind of where the train station thing because it's like we just make a lot of stops along the way, and
That's fair.
sometimes the stop is just like it's just like a whistle stop, and someone gets off and someone gets on, and sometimes it's like, oh, we're making a big stop here, and there's something something important happened. Okay, so the next one is this is a fun one. This is one that we actually weren't gonna do this year, and it is
Okay.
the Bench Celebrator Man of the Year award. We have had this award since the beginning, but it's a very hard one, and especially the last few years, maybe understandably, it's been really hard to like catch these guys celebrating. So we're like, you know what? Let's not do that to ourselves this time. Let's just leave it out. And then right from the beginning of the year, we have a group of guys who really rally and cheer for each other, like really great, and are very fun to watch. I mean, Zach Collins was kind of like the pinnacle.
Oh, he was great.
He was so good. So it was kind of like, I don't know, we're gonna get that again. Now we have we have the fake. As soon as the fake fainting off the bench comes back, we're like, we need to add that again. So. Bench Celebrator Man of the Year. Not sure how much you've had a chance to observe the bench, but would love to hear it.
That's a fair take there, because my eyes are usually on the action. I don't see the bench enough, but I have seen some times where Donovan Clingan has made me chuckle more than once. I think it's because when something good happens, he gets the most childish grin on his face, and it just makes me chuckle. It just makes me chuckle. But if we're being completely honest, though, I think the bench celebration is more your wheelhouse, because I can't even think past like Zach Collins. Jake Layman was good. I loved Rolo for just sitting with like the towel as his pillow, looking up at the big screen, and then celebrating with his legs in the air. But what's your take? Who is the bench celebrator leader in the clubhouse?
Well, somebody who's definitely going to get my nomination anyway is Scoot. He is really fantastic at getting the guys hyped up. And I think also DeAndre Ayton is a really excellent person on the bench.
I'll tell you one thing I love about Scoot, and it's not just the bench celebration award, is not enough other players do it. And I think it's again, the maturation and growing and being young. I love when someone makes like a big dunk and he's on the floor, he'll be flexing. Like he'll be hyped. He'll be at half court hyped for something a teammate did, which doesn't happen enough. Yeah, the bench guys do, but the guys on the floor don't. I love that he does that, man. He just gets hyped when other people around him do good, which is a pretty good personality trait.
It's an important quality to have in the person that you're hoping is going to, be the engineer.
Yeah. Another train reference, I guess.
I appreciate that Scoot also brought back the too small, because I don't think we've had a guy who does like too small, like, with the small fingers, like on our team for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, there was like a couple guys who do it like on the ground where they put the hand down low, but like Scoot does it up here, he does it down here, he does all kinds of too small.
Yeah.
And we just need a guy who can put that together, especially a little guy who does that. I'm all about a little guy who does it too small. I would also say, and we've heard this from several people, Rob Williams is a guy you have to hold back on the bench so he doesn't jump on the floor when he's celebrating and pick up a tech.
He's great. There was a game a few games ago where it wasn't a celebration, but there was a timeout. I can't remember who was at the line and who they were playing. It's all a blur to me. But all I know is they got a guy shooting free throws, and Coach Billups is trying to talk to Denny Avdia, right? And next thing you know, Robert Williams gets off the bench and just slowly walks over to Coach and then kind of stands behind him, wait for him to be done talking. And he gets done talking, and Denny goes to get back on the court, and he kind of pushes Coach out of the way, grabs Denny Avdia, and says something in his ear real quick and points at and then goes back to the bench. Like, Coach on the floor, and I was watching it the whole time. It's like, you don't see a player get up and do that a lot. Little things. I like Rob. I like Rob Williams.
Who doesn't like Rob?
I
Everybody
love
likes
Rob Williams.
I noticed that too when he was doing that. He sat there and patiently waited for the whole conversation to end, and then he wanted to get in.
Just patiently. Don't want to step on Coach's toes.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's a little bit different about this year too is the basketball is more fun to watch this year. Last year there were some moments, but prior to that we used to just our eyes were just on Damian Lillard the whole time
Mhm.
because what else was there to watch? He was so good. He really commanded everything, and so your eyes were on him, and so it was hard to see. But you know, a good bench celebration after a great block or a steal. I mean, when was the last time we had that going on?
Right. It's true. It's true.
Okay, we should probably move on.
Yes.
The next one is Blazer Legend. And this is also known as the Josh Hart Memorial Award. And so this actually goes to a non-Blazer, somebody who was at one time a Blazer and then does something that is somehow beneficial to the team. So, of course, we have after Josh Hart left and went to the Knicks, and right after he had conducted one of his very first interviews with the Knicks, he said, I got something else I want to say. And then he came out and he said some really nice things about the Trailblazers training staff
Mhm.
after Golden Warriors had put them through it. So the Josh Hart Memorial Award goes for somebody who is a former Blazer who does something cool, could be used of Nurkic's face. Last year, Carmelo Anthony won for coming back to Portland on
420.
on 420. So I don't know if you've been following former Blazers in the league that you might have an idea of an idea.
Hey, maybe in the league and out of the league. I think
Out of the league, fine too.
I think depending on what depending on what happens with DeAndre Ayton and his future, the award might have to go to Channing Frye for calling him out on social media without calling him out. That was pretty entertaining. That was pretty good. I also love that this is the Josh Hart Memorial because my gosh, he's a gem. He is a gem with the things that he does. And I also think I don't know if anyone can win after you just dropped Nurkic's face on us. Like that's a pretty heavy lifter right there.
I mean, if it gets Draymond suspended,
Or this season, he's the one who picked up those. He picked up suspension, and he it meant that two of the players on the Mavs were not available when they played us.
That's right,
because
they got
they
in the
were all
fight.
suspended
That's
for
right.
fighting, and so that win against the Mavs might very well be off the face of Nurkic.
You know what? I think thus far this might be my favorite award because this one takes a deep dive. Like you got to go more than just skin deep here. You got to figure out who helped what, whose suspension impacted this is a good award right here.
my vote last year was for Andrew Nicholson.
That's
That's a
right.
whole nother long story.
And I will say this year, I would say that somebody who's probably going to be nominated is Greg Oden because Greg Oden returned to Portland recently. And he, I was really nice to see him come back, and the fans really responded well, and it felt like the organization was teasing a bigger role for him in the future. So who knows? Maybe it'll go to Greg Oden.
Yeah, that's exactly what someone said in the YouTube chat. Greg Oden for that one for coming back. I loved that. Was actually probably one of my favorite nights of the year so far. I think it could have gone so many different ways, and to continue the train punts could have gone off the rails. But it didn't. I was so happy that Portland showed him a lot of respect and love because I think he needed that. I think Portland needed that. And I will take it to my deathbed that Greg Oden was not a bust. His body betrayed him, and he had some injuries, but he was not a bust. All you had to do was watch him when he was healthy. Dude was good.
Mhm.
Dude was good. So I was so happy he got to return and do that. And I'd love to see more of that, of the reaching out. But I think we're gonna have to do some more research. The fans will have to do some because that is a glorious idea for an award. Like,
Thank
like
you.
the deep dive,
Yeah.
like he got 2 players suspended who didn't play against us. It helped us. Like that's like thinking.
I mean, once a Blazer, always a Blazer.
Yes.
That's
Right.
right. 10 days, 10 years, you're always a Blazer to us.
Yeah, you got. Did you give it to like Andrew Nicholson for finally coming off the books? Like,
Well, no, it was for Draymond Green was on a podcast and said something about how he was naming all the people who got drafted ahead of him, and he was like, Andrew Nicholson, he doesn't even look like a basketball player. And then later on in a podcast, Andrew Nicholson said, "Oh, I didn't know I'd been on Draymond Green's mind all this time."
Tara loves Andrew Nicholson.
I love Andrew Nicholson. We did a deep dive on Andrew Nicholson last year to honor the end of the Andrew
the
Nicholson
coming out. Yep, that's
era.
the deep dive. That's beautiful.
We got the Didi Louzada era going on now.
Yes, from the Didi Louzada
But we already
era.
did a deep dive on him.
Oh,
But Andrew Nicholson came off the books, and he is now the proud owner of a Crumble franchise.
Yeah. He is really amazing. Do you
Okay.
want to do the last two together so to make sure
We'll
that we
save-
have time?
We'll save them. We're gonna cut to
Okay,
break here
okay.
real quick, and then we'll come back and do them. But it's funny because it's like Ken Griffey Jr. finally came off the Cincinnati Reds books, and even though he hadn't played for like a decade, he was like the highest paid player on the roster
Oh.
because of the way the breakdown was. So at least Andrew Nicholson wasn't the highest paid Blazer.
Well,
There's
he
always
was up there.
there's always a silver lining.
It was up there.
It was. It absolutely was. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. Come back. We got a couple more awards to get to, and then before we go, I want to get these two's take on the return of Damian Lillard tomorrow at Moda Center. The second return. Will it still feel good? Will it feel the same? Will there be love? I think there will be. We'll talk about when we come back here on Courtside Monday on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Blazers Courtside. Chris Burkhart here with you. Shout out to Busted Bucket enjoying the intermission tunes, right? Hey, sometimes we get good tunes, sometimes we get no tunes. It all depends what studio we're in. but at least we're not getting copyright strikes, okay? I don't need Shacker coming after me all mad, dropping elbows from the top rope. What? Don't get mad. I'm trying to bring you in and involve you, Shacker. I have fun with you. You're my guy. I just don't need to make you mad. That's all.
I'm never mad.
You never are. We work with a good group of people. No one gets too heated around here. I mean, that makes it for a fun workplace. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, sometimes we're all too nice though, and it's just sickening. So that's enough of me praising you, Shacker. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Look at him; he's giving me the eye. We're having way too much fun over here. But I want to go back. We still got the W.H.A.T crew here. We got Tara and we have Rose, the W.H.A.T podcast. And we're having some fun. When the music hit, you said you had a few more awards to give away, and we got time. So what else do you got for us?
So the next award we have is Best Accessorizer. And we have done a couple different iterations of this award where there has been Most Improved Fits, Best Dressed. This year, we are doing Best Accessorizer, which we have done, I think, one previous year. And this is for the Blazer who has the best accessories. It's exactly what it sounds like. So we're talking jewelry typically, but it also can be hats, it can be glasses, it can be shoes, it can be like what kind of bag they're carrying in. It's really who puts like the icing on the cake when they're like, expressing themselves through fashion. And I think we started this award the first year that we had Jeremy Grant because we were like, well, Jeremy Grant's going to win Best Dressed. And so we wanted to make it a little bit more challenging for it so he didn't just win it every year that he was here. So Best Accessorizer, what have you noticed?
What have I noticed? I've noticed that Matisse Thybulle is low-key just well-dressed every single day. Not too crazy, not too bad, but I think it's not like he's just blinged out in accessories, but you know what? The shoes, that's an accessory. The right pair of jeans and pants, that counts. It all counts. He's good. I also, when you talk about best dress, you know what it really makes me miss? It makes me miss Jake Layman, who was my comfy king. When everyone else is coming in and wearing their best clothes, he was like me. I'm wearing an OSA sweatshirt right now because that's where I work as well, and I wear a Rip City Radio one when I can. He was a team player. He's like, everyone else is wearing the Gucci. I am wearing the Trailblazers branded sweatsuit because it's comfy, and that's good too. But Matisse Thybulle, and I have noticed actually, absolutely, when it comes to accessories, because I did notice this one the other day in the press conference. Donovan Clingan had the most blinged out DC necklace. And I'm just like, oh, on the rookie deal. Oh yeah, he went and got some accessories. And he was looking comfy too, but that might have been the most eye-popping accessory I've seen. So I think the rookie might be my leader right now. Got to pay attention to those.
You are not the first person who has noticed the DC chain. A lot of people notice that DC chain. And I do think it's because he's like generally dressed and like pretty comfy, like hoodie and sweats, and then he's got a big iced out chain.
That is exactly it. Because at that point, he was wearing a T-shirt with like a zip-up hoodie and just regular jeans and a pair of Nikes, and then just the chain right there.
One of the other things that Tara and I noticed this year, well, one, DeAndre Ayton has an incredible amount of like necklaces, like. Mm-hmm. And I know that Tara had an opportunity to see one of them up close at one of the.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
One of the like season ticket holder events. Beautiful, gorgeous. And this year, we noticed that he was rocking like a blinged out belt buckle at one game. He had like a big belt buckle, and like we've definitely seen cool glasses and whatever, but this is the first year I think that I noticed like a belt buckle.
Okay.
Well, I guess Denny rocked a belt buckle in Dallas, like because he like went out and bought a whole cowboy getup. But like Ayton's was very shiny and beautiful. I will say, I think you're the first person to mention Matisse because I think usually most of us think of Matisse as a little bit like a Sesame Street character and that he wears roughly the same outfit every day.
He does, but he's just clean. He's just clean. Like I say, he's not an accessory king, but there's something to be said about just being clean, you know?
We definitely also love his books, and this book might be considered an accessory. Yeah. So maybe like for the literary fans out there, we should all be wondering what accessory is Matisse Thybulle carrying today? What book is he reading in his book club?
Yeah.
No, I don't count. I'm going to put my foot down this year. A book is not an accessory.
You counted Drew Eubank's coffee cup as an accessory.
I know, and I'm going to have to take that back too because I was thinking about this because a book, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's a prop. Like it's a thing that you do something with. An accessory is something that just like sits there and looks something. I think.
Okay.
Does that mean the bags don't count? Because bags do something.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
See, we're getting in the weeds here.
Put a wrench in my thing.
See, so again,
Wrench in my thinking.
I do need to pay more attention to the accessory. That's why we're talking about these now. You
Yeah,
gotta get
exactly.
these things in the people's head.
Again, it's good. We have a lot of basketball left. We got a lot of the season left, and we don't know what's going to happen 6 weeks from now. We don't know how many 10 days are going to be on the
That
roster.
is true. That is
so
true.
we got to have something to look forward to.
We have a lot of season, but not a lot of time. So what is the last award you got?
The last one is the social media play of the season. This is us just trying to grasp that I'm trying Jennifer moment again. This is for a player. It could be the team account. It could be a fan. Something that happens on social media that is notable. It's a weird year because we had the whole Twitter exodus, and now we're just trying to figure out. So I'm not quite sure how it's gonna how it's all gonna unfold. But yeah, we're looking for recommendations for things that have happened on social media that are noteworthy.
That one's gonna just have to be some people looking because unfortunately this team is not very social media savvy yet.
And it could be that whole era has passed us. We've talked a little bit about it's not the same anymore, right? When 5 years ago, and when it was Damian like up in the attic with his kids playing and tweeting, that was like a whole different era than right now. These guys arrive in the league having already gone through NIL deals and having their own brand. Side note: NIL deals and Donovan Clingan. Google, there's some gems, some gems.
Yeah, see these guys. Like I remember you got to go through the archives to find them. But back in high school, Zach Collins was quite the character on Vine.
Oh, rest in peace, Vine.
Right? So, we'll see where this goes. But the thing is, too, is like there's still plenty of players who are social media savvy. But you look at the roster right now, as much as we all love him, but like Shaedon Sharp is so quiet and reserved.
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant's kind of that way. Tumani Kamara is very, kind of quiet and reserved. Like you just need to get that. I think once he really steps into his own, we might get a little of that out of Scoot eventually because I feel like there's that personality there just waiting to come out. But
could be. I understand Donovan Clingan's dad was extremely active on Twitter during the playoff runs that UConn was making.
Okay.
But I don't know. I just feel like that era might be over.
Yeah, everybody has better self-control than the era that preceded them, where they know not to get in the replies.
Yeah.
Telling you what, I was thinking about social media the other day, friends, because that's kind of my job title at all my places I go. And with the exodus of Twitter and people trying to find what the next thing is and people not liking this and that, the ultimate flex would be for MySpace to just pop back up out of nowhere. Like it still exists. It's a music site, but I mean, if it popped back, it's like just send out a tweet and be like, HTML is back, MySpace.com. Like, oh my gosh.
The top, what is it? The top 8?
Top
was it
8.
Your top 8?
It was your top 8. You got to pick your background color, embed some YouTube videos and your favorite music. I mean, come on.
You're learning stuff as you go along.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Telling you, there's some money to be made in MySpace. Hey, real quick to Damian Lillard returning for the second time tomorrow. First game out of the way. Second game, I expect him. The first game back, jitters gone. He might have a big game. But what are your thoughts on another chance to see Dame here?
I would say I would be proud to watch our team valiantly die on the sword of Dame this year. Last year, we somehow pulled out the most amazing win of the entire season when the Bucks came back. And this year, if our fate is to lose, like I hope that Dame shows off because that's the second best thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah, for me, like last year was really hard to watch Damian. I needed to take a step back from Dame. So I'm very happy this year. I'm much more into what he's doing and watching him and how he's been going. So
absolutely. All right, before we go, one quick second for you two to pub everything. Where can people find the What podcast? I heard you mention YouTube, so people can find videos of it as well. Let everybody know.
Yeah, look for We Have a Take on Blue Sky or the We Have a Take YouTube channel. Probably Blue Sky is the best way to get to us. We used to have Twitter. We don't have that anymore. But yeah, just type in We Have a Take in any of the places where you get podcasts and you'll find it. And we usually also include a link to the YouTube channel in our social stuff.
Absolutely.
And then wherever you get your podcasts, we are also there.
Like, share, subscribe, everything else. Thank you two so much. I'm glad you were able to make the time. We'll do it again in the future. Again, it's the Tara and Rose from the We Have a Take podcast, the objectively awesomely named podcast. Little jealous I didn't come up with it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. And we did talk about Damian Lillard. He'll be back tomorrow. Tip off at 7. I'll have Blazers game day for you starting at 5 o'clock. I want to remind everyone real quick that Chad Doing will have the Rip City Drive from 3 to 5. He will be live from Dr. Jack's. I will be live from Dr. Jack's from 5 to 6 as well. So stop by and say hi. It's actually the day we're going to be starting our raffle in conjunction with ALS Northwest, helping raise some funds for ALS, because as Blazer fans know, that's something that Mike Lynch is dealing with, who was the studio host for the Trailblazers. And if you want to have a chance to help him out and help some ALS research and have a chance to win a raffle, because it's a 50-50 raffle with proceeds going to ALS Northwest, come see us tomorrow, listen to the show, follow our socials. It's going to be like a 6-week-long thing, so there's plenty of time for you to get in on that. But it obviously goes to a good cause and a beloved member of the Trailblazers family. This has been Trailblazers Courtside, and of course, there's only one way to end it. Rip City, I love you.
Is that your line? I love it.
On this show.
Rip City, I love